Hello, everyone, and welcome aboard. It is the 9th of January in most places. That would include most places at this stage of the day. I think everywhere it would be the 9th of January. G'day. G'day, Chandru. G'day, everyone. Um, Look, it is NFP Eve, guys. NFP Eve, which means the non-farm payroll number will be semaphore tomorrow. We've got the Bank of England's Governor Carney speaking today. We've already had the Aussie trade balance out. Good number for the Aussie, 5.8, very promising. That's on a decent level, and you would have thought the Aussie would appreciate on the back of that. We'll have a look at that in just a tick. What else is happening today? Also got the Bank of Canada's Polos speaking as well. There's a lot of speeches today. So nothing really to hang our hats on, apart from, I suppose, the CPI figure, which was done ages ago. Why isn't that up there? It should be there. The Chinese CPI figure, there it is, a miss. So that tends to put a little bit of a dampener on the good Aussie news. But anyway, we'll have a look at that in a tick, as I said. We are still in the grips of uncertainty as far as the situation with Iran and Trump is concerned, and all sorts of news this morning coming out of not missiles but rockets going off in what they call the green zone, I think it is, of Baghdad, where there are strategic US whatever offices, things like that. There's also some concern now that the plane crash in Iran yesterday, which coincided, well, it was very, very bad timing, if there's such a thing as good timing for a plane crash. Hello, LT. That has been brought into question as well. So really, we are in a very, very uncertain day, I would have thought, if not week, if not into probably longer than that. We'll see. It's going to make trading very tricky, and I'll get to that in a tick, but let's go and set up the pound breakout trade on the hourly chart, as we do each and every day. Very small winner yesterday. Didn't make up for our earlier losses during the week. Hey, Derek. How you doing, bud? No, it didn't make up for our losses earlier in the week, but we're still well ahead of the curve here by 12.5%, I think it is. I'll check that in a tick. I don't know why that trend line's still there. Needs to go. Maybe to there. Maybe up here. We'll have a look at that in a bit. Here's our hourly candle. It is a doji. And that kind of says a lot, I think. Kind of says a lot about what's going on. And you can see that the pound has done absolutely nothing since the US close earlier today. This one will be... where's my crosshair? Here. Entry on this one's going to be at around about, I'll give you the exact number in a minute, 131.29 or thereabouts, which will take us up to about here. There we go. We've got the red signal. The power is through to the control tower and the red light's on. And they're about to race in race one. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going back to my my former days in the racing industry. I appear to have a frozen screen here.
Oh, there we go. I can see it, mate.
Hello, bud. How you going?
How you doing? Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. A bit jaded.
Yeah, I'll bet. All right, we better place this trade before we go too much further. We will have... Oh, can we do that? What happens if I do that? Oh, I didn't know you could do that. Entry level will be 131.29. We'll go one above the 1/8s. I think I'm not getting much response out of this. It appears I do have a frozen screen. Thought I did. There we go. Now I've forgotten the number. 31.29. Yeah. That one is a buy stop, and the stop loss will be 5 pips underneath the low of this candle at 1.31. Make that 1.3095. 1.3095 is what I'm looking for. There we go. And the long is in the market. The long order is in the market. The short order will be, of course, the reverse of that. Let's go to, no, it won't give you a sell stop, will it? Little dog. Okay, so we'll just go to new order then. And we want one lot is perfectly fine. Oh, better hurry up. Sell stop. 1.3095 from memory would be the entry. The stop loss will be 1.3129. If my memory serves me again. And it ain't that great, my memory, I've got to tell you, but I got it right. And we're all good to go. So we'll place that as well. Happy days. So there's our entry short and our stop loss long. There's our entry long and our stop loss short.
That's going to be an interesting one, isn't it, mate? Because if it breaks down there, I mean, it'd be almost better if it holds, wouldn't it, for a bit? Because if it breaks down, it could break down that trend line.
It could. We've got Carney speaking in about an hour and a half, though, I think, haven't we? So
yes, which could make it either a bit choppy up until then. I suspect we'll get some movement after he's spoken. I mean, I don't know what he's due to say, but what reports are that earlier in the week he mentioned that he has got room to cut interest rates further. And I guess due to that, it would probably, if he does come out and say that, then some weakness in the pound would probably be likely. And it's a funny thing. I think we're almost kind of like back to focusing on the news and data from the UK for a little while, because the dates we have for Brexit are the 31st of January, which seems to be pretty much set in stone. And the 31st of December, I think it is, or certainly not until December until we actually kind of, finish our transition period and negotiate the.
Although we had, I can't think of a name, but one of the EU people.
Yes, meeting Prime Minister yesterday.
It's not going to happen inside that time frame.
No, she did say that. Absolutely right. And I guess. I don't know. Maybe that'll matter if it gets a little bit closer to the time. But right now, we know Boris Johnson ultimately is bendable. He said he would die in a ditch if they didn't get the deal with the EU done, and obviously he hasn't done that. So I think everybody knows that he would be a bit bendable, especially if they were close. He's going to aim for it, and it'd be interesting to see how close they get. But I think he would probably bend, and I think most people would probably assume he would as well. So I think little headlines like that at this particular point in the year probably won't have much of a significance on the market. There could be fluctuations, but I'm not sure whether that's going to be a genuine driver. As I say, I think we may well focus now on the news again, and how things kind of develop on that front, rather than anything to do with maybe too much to do with the EU trade negotiations at this particular stage. I'm not sure whether there's going to be that much play in all that stuff right now.
Yeah, I think I'll have probably a decent look at it next week. I don't think I'm that fussed this week, to be honest. I think there's too much else going on around the place.
Oh, I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, fascinating moves really in the FTSE 100 last night. The UK session, it rebounded all its losses pretty much anyway, and certainly the S&P did, and it's continuing to make fresh highs.
Oil's off, gold's off. Yep.
Yeah, everything's pointing to some upside with the FTSE. It's a little bit trapped right now at a trend line, but I suspect we go through it, and we probably would potentially push another 60 pips today, 60 points higher today. I don't see why that wouldn't be on the cards.
Okay,
You know,
interesting.
but you know, the thing that I find most fascinating is the confidence that's out there. You know, and how many people are so confident. Gold is down, as you say. You know, the yen is down, S&P's up, the Dow's up, the yen, the Nikkei's up, the Nasdaq's up. I think the
Yeah, where does this
Kakaron is up.
risk appetite come from?
Well, yeah, that's part of it, and also when everybody's long, you know, I guess I'm taking a chapter out of your words, really, in your book, is that if everybody's this confident, then the only way that you should be looking is down. You know, there's potentially some easy money to be made in the short term, but I think in the medium term, this market is probably going to fall and fall hard. There goes your pound, which is great.
As long as it stays
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I think he's got a decent potential, mate. As I say, you know, if Carney has said that once earlier in the week, I think that the assumption is that he may well reiterate that, and we know what low interest rates does to a currency.
Yeah, sure.
So you know, I think that's got a fairly decent shout of dropping today, which
See
again
how we
could
go,
push
bud.
could push the FTSE forward as well. So I do see some strength in the FTSE today. As I say, possibly another 60 pips or so, but I think you know, caution has to be taken at some point. You know, if you manage to get in here, then I would just, you know, keep your stops probably fairly loose initially, just to give it some room to breathe, because there's nothing that is suggesting it's coming down just yet. But I would definitely get those stops in early and try and tighten them to break even as early as possible. Then after that, give it a little bit of room to maneuver, just to make sure you don't get taken out on some arbitrary whipsaws, which
All
again could
right.
happen. But you know.
We'll take a look at that in a tick.
Yeah.
I'll just go briefly through yesterday's trade, and then we will go to you. So yesterday we traded this bar, which was the 9 o'clock bar, and pardon me, we were entered short, as you can see. We went to the 15-minute chart, and again, no follow through, which is, of course, the pain in the butt that we have to go through. And what happened was, where did we get taken in? I can't remember exactly. We got taken in here at the about 11, after 11ish, which would have been where? Back here somewhere. That candle, perhaps, I think. No. Can't remember where we got in. Must have been in here somewhere. But anyway, we finished up trailing our stop. That was the first trail there after we got in, our two candles that we're looking for. Then we got another trail to here. And then we got another trail to here. But that's where it ended, because that was our last two black candles, and then the market came back against us. So we got, I think, 7 pips out of that, out of a risk of, can't remember, but the chart now looks like this. We put on only 0.14% on the traditional way, the way we're trading it now, or we put on 0.17% if you use the high and low of the candle. So that was yesterday. We got in at 131. Yes, 7 pips. That's right. That's all we got out of that, out of 51. So yeah, it wasn't anything flash by any stretch. Anyway, at least it was a positive result. That's all I can say, I guess, about that. Now, without wanting to put the fear of death into you or the trade, we are at a strong support level right now, as you can see from yesterday. Anyway, we would have to get through that, I would think, to make any money today. Otherwise, it may well be just hang around here until Carney speaks, and then our fate will be determined by what he says, one would suspect. We shall see. Righto, Ash, FTSE.
Yeah, FTSE, yeah. So FTSE's, it's interesting, as I say. I think
You're off mic, mate.
Sorry, buddy, that's me. I'd like to look for downside really at these levels, but at this stage, there's really no reason. There's no reason to be looking for downside except for the technical aspect. Why is that not?
Can you share?
Oh, maybe you need to stop sharing this. It's one of these this time.
Okay, let me see what I can do.
Brilliant. You still in? You're out. Okay, Jeff's out, but he'll be back. So this is what we got with the FTSE 100. We have pushed into this level and effectively, recovered all the losses that were almost, this maybe 15 pips away from recovering these losses that we saw initially, and it has been a difficult market to trade. There's no two ways about it. We heard about the killing of the Iranian general, and the market actually rallied off the back of it, but then it started to drop, and eventually we got the retaliation, and that's really what was going on. There was no retaliation, and I guess it was holding these levels, but there was no retaliation initially, and we obviously got the retaliation, but with that, it was certainly perceived to be a fairly gentle retaliation. Which it has boosted the markets up, and I haven't, apart from this level, technical level, there's a technical reason to go shorts here, but I don't think that short's going to really amount to much at this particular stage, and in some respects I'd prefer to aim a little bit higher for the short, so maybe even back to these highs. But if we look on the slightly different time frames, look on the 4 hourly, then I'd probably quite like it to be somewhere in this area. I mean, it's really coming from the weekly chart that fascinates me the most when we drag this line over. I'm going to tidy it up on a daily. That looks pretty good anyway. Yeah, that looks all right actually. It's pretty tight. So we flip that back to the hourly, and you can see, and that's this line here. So I could see us potentially testing that level again, which is around about 40 pips above where we are. There's just no reason to come down, and there's strong resistance here. As we've seen the market come down from this point, and this point, attempting to break down, but huge bars to the upside yesterday. And then we had the Trump speech, which was fairly conciliatory, so that's helped boost the markets even further. And the only thing that I would do, I am interested in the short, but the only thing I'd like to do is see if it can pause at this level. I'm not really, I don't think we're going to be collapsing. I think maybe it's possible that people are waiting for Carney to come out, so we could be waiting an hour and a quarter before we get any genuine movement. But if he doesn't say anything too bad, then I think the upside is still there's still opportunities to buy this market. Maybe just drifting down a little bit lower, and then buy this market back up again. Possibly the daily pivot. I'm not sure if it get that far down, and then see if it can go higher. And from that, I'd like it to see it pop up, and then just see if there's some sort of catalyst. And it could be jobs data out on Friday or something like that. We've heard from the IMF suggesting that world growth is shrinking somewhat, or at least slowing down. And that would suggest that earnings can't continue to be as high as they are. So retail sales would be an interesting standpoint on that. We're really waiting for the consumer to stop holding up the broader economy, but they continue to do that. Apple is huge evidence of that. Well over a few billion, I think, that they made last Christmas, 16% higher than the previous. So there are still people pretty confident with some spare cash floating around. The other thing is, the Fed. Do we start now focusing on the Fed and the repo market, which is another fascinating issue that could stop this market in its tracks a little bit. But generally does tend to have the first couple of weeks that are down. So interested to see how this week finishes up. And I am attempting to look for shorts, but at this particular stage, apart from a level of resistance, I don't really have a reason. So I'm going to stick in there with this one and just wait and see. Don't think Jeff has managed to get back in with us. So
yeah, I'm in, mate. Yep.
Oh, you in, mate? Okay, cool. But that's it for me, really, mate. There's not really a lot to do. I say I'd like to look for the short, but apart from a potential kind of technical level, I don't really have a fundamental reason to take it on. And we've seen that the market desires these fundamental reasons if it's really going to give us a genuine move in the opposite direction. Because I think at the minute it's all going to get swallowed up. And if it does drift to the downside, then I'll probably try and pick it up at the daily pivot until news does change, somewhere around there for some upside. But otherwise, I'd like to see it either pause or break out and then start to pause just out of that little bit of a higher level, and then start getting interested in whether there's a shorting opportunity.
Okie dokie, mate. Look, I'm going to be completely boring, and you'll have to stop sharing and say I've really got very little intention of trading at all today. And that's because, pardon me, I think there's way too much going on with, new explosions in Baghdad. Now we've got doubts about the plane that crashed, and wow.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? And they've said that their biggest desire is to expel the United States military from Iraq. So there might be some other repercussions that eventually do come to pass, but they're just not evident yet, are they? And as I say, the Donald Trump speech was incredibly positive, and the way that it was framed was that Iran actually told Iraq that they would be bombing at this particular site, and they were able to kind of get a heads up on it. So it seems a bit odd to me how that would be. I just don't see the point. I don't see the point in firing a load of bombs, but then telling everybody it's just to show that we could. But we're not going to really. We got the capabilities. We're not really going to do any damage, though. And actually, it's just a waste of money. It's just a complete waste of money, and I don't get it. Why would you bother wasting your hard-earned cash on military equipment only to really I guess row back on it. I don't get it. It really doesn't make any sense to me, which makes me a bit nervous.
Yeah, I've got to pass, and I'm like, I think the rest of the market. I think it is nervous. I think it is tetchy, and I think there's very, very good reason for that to be the case.
Yeah.
Because we do not have any clarity around anything right now.
No.
And that makes it tricky, and that's why you're going to see, volatility, and you're going to see whipsaws. You're going to see all sorts of things, and you're going to see big moves as well. But where, when, we just don't know that.
No, we don't.
That's the tricky part.
Fairly well telegraphed though, the last two. I mean, the move to the downside was pretty well telegraphed when it kind of came down to it, because the difficulty was this was the move, as I was saying, this was the move after Soleimani got killed. The move was up. It hit a level of support. The move was up. It didn't break down, and it was only really when we got the retaliation that the move broke down. But then, conciliatory words, the market moves up. So in some respects, the last two particular moves have been fairly well telegraphed, but I think the move to the upside initially was the difficult one, and it certainly kind of put me on the back foot, made trading that harder to think about, really. And
yeah, look, I think there was a beautiful scalp to be had, to be honest with you, but I'm not a scalper, and I just can't pick the top of the market or the bottom of the market. And I spoke about this, I think it was last Sunday, I was talking about this oil in the show, and I mentioned it yesterday as well, where we had, and maybe even the day before, but to me this was completely predictable, coming back after the initial reaction, because we saw exactly the same thing with the previous bombing. In fact,
absolutely,
that one went 700 pips.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, it was over the weekend, and the market gapped that much, and then pretty much as soon as the market opened, see you later, straight back down to support. Well, where do we go? We went back to the same bloody level.
Yeah.
A little bit of a spike beyond it, and now we've come off. Look, I don't think we'll go back as far this time. I'm really thinking that we're on hold now until something else happens from a technical level as well as anything else. We're at the monthly pivot, so there will be a hold up here.
That's a difficult bar to trade, isn't it? Yesterday's. I mean, that and gold were just, gold continues to plummet, by the way, as well. And
Oh, does it? Okay.
yeah. I mean, maybe plummet's the wrong word, but it's certainly shaken out.
Yep.
To the downside.
Well, same story, isn't it? The knee-jerk reaction or the predictable reaction to the fracas, and then the world or the market say, well, really, was that such a big deal? Answer no. Well, okay, let's go back down here.
Yeah, almost the polar opposite of the broad of the equities. Just the way that the bars look, just fascinating stuff. But as I say, mate, there's not really a lot for me to do. I'm going to be waiting out and just seeing, if the market can push higher and pause a little bit, and then just wait and see if there's anything that can be done with it.
Yep, mate. Mark's answer to your question, and g'day, Mark. How you doing, bud? They had to do something, or politically it would be bad for the Iran government.
I get that part of it, but I don't get the rhetoric after. That's the thing that's confusing me. Yes, they had to do something, but why would they make it obvious that that's all it was? I that's the thing that I just don't understand. Why would you kind of like I guess it's maybe somebody punches you in the face, so you give them a very, very light slap on the cheek, just to say, well, I had to retaliate, but I didn't want to hurt you. Because that's kind of what it is, isn't it? I mean, they're basically saying, no, we don't want to hurt you. We want to make sure that nobody's going to get injured, and we'll let you guys know that it's going to happen. But we have to do something. So this is what we're going to do. It seems a bit pointless to me. I think they would have been a lot more powerful to keep quiet, do nothing for a while, and keep quiet. Keep people guessing.
Rather than do with your missus, mate, when you're in the brawl.
Well, just give her a light slap on.
Silent treatment.
Oh, do you know what? I mean, if she gets the silent treatment, it's only because I can't think for very quickly. So sometimes I have to gather my thoughts. Because sometimes she says to me that I'm giving her the silent treatment. I'm like, I'm not. I just can't think straight after the barrage of abuse I've had.
Oh yeah. So, well, they're pretty good, aren't they? Unbelievable.
Oh, do you know, I've got two of them in my house. I had two of them in my house, and last night, my God, my daughter was just an absolute beast last night.
Yeah, you had a bad night, eh?
Oh, it was awful, and similar thing, she's talking to me and saying, "Why are you being so quiet?" And I just couldn't think. I was so tired. I was just like, I'm just, so I said, I'll get back to you in a minute. I'll get back to you in a minute.
Not quite a good answer for her. How old is she? 3.
Yeah, eventually I just said, just go to bed. So, the whole sort of like, yeah, blah, 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 just go to bed.
Nice.
It's easier for both of us if you just go to bed. So
the comments in the chat box are pretty much the reason why I don't want to trade. Mark saying if Iran had blown a load of US people up, Trump would have retaliated. Oh shit, yeah. And Live T saying Iran did not want a real war with Iraq.
Yeah.
All those things are true.
Yes.
But, have Iran got something else up their sleeve? You've got all sorts of people speculating right now that they're going to have cyber wars, or they're going to have all sorts of things going on. And
yes.
Man, and that's why, today I'm just so disinterested in putting my money on the line when at the tick of anything, something can happen.
Yeah. Do you know that this is my, I guess my point with all this though is that I completely agree and accept with everything that everybody's saying in the chat, but but maybe somebody could answer or have a stab at answering, why did they bother? Why, what did it actually achieve that would have shown any kind? Because to me they look weak. It looked, and I think to Trump, it looks weak. Trump, in the end, he won, and it almost, as I say,
maybe that's the point, mate. Maybe that's the point. Let him think he's won.
Well, and again, that's what makes me nervous about this. If that's what's going on, if let's let him think he's won, and then we'll come back with something. That's what makes me nervous. But if we just take the action in isolation, and on face value, then that's the bit I don't get. This is why I guess I'm saying it doesn't make sense unless there's something behind, unless there's something else coming. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me why.
I see everyone's point of view, and that's exactly the reason that I don't want to trade, because there are differing points of view, and there are certainly different, pies or recipes in the mix. Another one is that the Democrats today, I believe, or when America wakes up, are going to try and restrict his powers.
That's right. That's right.
Which is potentially a breath of fresh air, but does that force him to act before that? If it's in his head, Again, all sorts of
that's true. That's true.
Get that word out.
Connotations,
connotations. That's the word.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And do you know the other thing that I find a little bit concerning is that if Trump wins this, if what we've had gone on genuinely is that they back off, how do we know he doesn't get overconfident with kind of going around and thinking that he's kind of solving the world's issues, and just start kind of taking out people left, right, and center? You just don't know. We don't really know what the man is made of, but nothing that he's done suggests to me that that this will be the end of his actions. I think he does want to bash people down a little bit. He said he would do it it looks great for the negotiations with North Korea. If he's willing to kind of go straight in and go, right, okay, you want to mess, then we're going to mess on my terms. It looks really good for him if Iran do kind of effectively buckle and don't really test his mettle, because they haven't really tested his mettle. So it looks very, very good on that particular front. But yeah, as I say, who knows? And it always worries me when I think of those Nostradamus kind of paragraphs about the World War III will be fought like no other, and it'll be a force that rise from the east, and beware the trumpet. The man that everybody thinks is a genius but ends up being a complete joker. I don't think anybody does think he's a genius, but trumpet and Trump is only two letters away from each other, and it just is a concerning world. I mean, we're not going to trade off the back of that, but every time that something happens in Trump's tenure, and it's something to do with either Asia or the Middle East, then I get a little bit concerned that Nostradamus was onto something.
Yeah, well, let's not get into that. You'll be here all night, and we'll start quoting things from the book of, what is it? The last book
Mormons.
of the Bible. Can't think of
Oh, Genesis. Yeah. Don't get me wrong.
That's the first book.
Oh, is it? I'm not much of a
Revelations. Revelations. That's
Revelations. Yeah. I'm not very good on the Bible, if I'm honest.
Man.
Should read it, you think?
Sorry?
You think I should read it?
No, well, if you talk about blah, 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 if you want to go completely bonkers, you might as well read that.
Well, this is the problem, isn't it? I mean, everything starts to become conspiracy, theories as well, which is why I don't get too far into stuff. But, I guess it's just that, certain things then start to kind of ring a little bit louder when we have the unease and unrest that we seem to have, or we seem to have had ever since Trump came to power.
Yeah, look, there's so many foreseers. Confucius, you mentioned one. The Bible is another. There's a lot of stuff in there that's foretold. There's all sorts of people throughout history that have been seers, and none more so than the science fiction writers. And there's a whole lot of stuff in science fiction movies that I watched 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that are now staring me in the face, and I'm going, wow.
Yeah.
Did that happen because of the movie, or did they actually see it happening? What's going on? So it's pretty freaky, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I was with my friend over the Christmas period, and he sort of got a watch that he's kind of talking into, and it made me think the same thing. We are at the kind of Star Trek, time in our history. We appear to be sort of like around about that particular point. Gene Roddenberry, Roddenberry, I can't remember his name. But that guy seemed to be a bit of a seer as well, didn't he? With certainly with tech.
Oh, look, the history is scattered with these people.
Geez, talking of tech, mate, really quickly.
Yep.
Did you have you seen Apple's numbers over the Christmas period?
No.
Astonishing, absolutely astonishing. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to all be over with Steve Jobs going, but Tim Cook seems
not only that, with the emerging China markets,
yeah.
Now they've kind of put their foot on that.
Yeah,
I guess in many ways.
Yeah,
and that I guess I don't know how Samsung's going these days, but
brilliant. Again, great numbers.
They had a bit of a problem with that phone that burst into flames and stuff, but they bounced back.
Yeah, they bounced back as well. Brilliant numbers. Chinese car sales are down, so it's not all sweetness and light right across the board, but certainly Apple just appears to not be an expensive stock, considering how expensive it is. It's just I can't remember how many billion it was up. How many sales they had over the Christmas period, but it's apparently 16% higher than last year.
Wow.
And these are on apps, from what I gather. So probably stuff which has got a huge markup.
Yeah, it's a pretty big number.
Yeah, and the residual income from that stuff is just massive. I mean, as one grows and one gets, then it's going to be taken from somebody else, no doubt. But it's just astonishing what is continuing to happen with with Apple.
Yes, indeed. Look, I'm looking through these charts, and all I'm seeing is potential breakouts that I don't even want to know about. I'm seeing lots of potentials for this to break out, but for every one of these that breaks out, I reckon 3/4 of them won't work. And how am I going to pick the one that does?
Yeah, I'm down with that, mate. Got the same thing going on with the FTSE. Part of me wants to go long here because of what's been going on, but the other part of me is just kind of going, oh, it's looking like a breakout and it looks like it's going to go, but it's just a difficult level here, and if it was still here after Carney, then I may well trade it, but if it's popped up before that, then I don't think I can get involved, because I suspect we might need to hear from Carney before we really get some genuine movement in the European currencies and the FTSE as well, the European markets generally.
Yep, and Trumpy should wake up in I don't know, 3 or 4 hours, and he'll hit his Twitter, and things will change again. So
yeah, no doubt. We might hear who's in his crosshairs today, in the next few hours.
And then it's NFP tomorrow. So all fun and games, I reckon. And I don't want to be part of it. I'm out of it till next week, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm the same as you, mate. I'm pretty tired by the runs that we've had. Not been too bad, but yeah, just it's been an exhausting few days really with trading.
Yeah, well, I haven't done anything really. I've just entered this pound Kiwi trade, which is not going so well at the moment. Stops away up here somewhere, but we need to get a move on. And this is the kind of market that just really drives me nuts. You get taken in here, you start to get a little bit of momentum, and then nothing.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, though, isn't it? Carney is going to make sure that the fact that there is a speech from Carney is going to make sure that the pound probably stays where it is for the next hour or so, or just under an hour actually now. But then after that, I suspect we'll see some movement. But if you're short the pound, which I guess you are, I'd be with you, mate. I'd be with you today.
Yeah, well, in the lap of the gods right now, there's not a lot I can do. There's not a lot I want to do. So I'll just take it easy. Chandra is saying, "G'day, Ash."
Hello, buddy. How are you?
Mark saying Tesla has gone gonzo.
Oh, yeah, another one.
Chart.
Yeah, no, I haven't either. But yeah, another one that has just gone gangbusters. Yeah, it's just It's just crazy, isn't it? I thought, just when you think it's all over, in the famous words of whoever it was that commentated on the 1966 World Cup, it's just it just kind of turns around and starts to fight and bite again. And I think the same is probably going to happen with quite a few of the other names that have been in the headlines, over the last maybe 12 months. I think Bitcoin's got a fairly decent shout of starting to pick up again soon. I think Beyond Meat, Impossible Foods, I think the marijuana industry, all these industries that are suspect to huge moves in both directions. I think they've been a bit beaten up recently, but they are all going to start kicking back, and Apple and Tesla are two really good examples of that. But the same, I think the marijuana industry is probably going to follow it as well.
Grow a fair bit of it down here too in Tassie.
No, you do. But you grow it for other reasons, though, right? I'm talking about the medicinal stuff.
Well, I'm also talking about the medicinal stuff,
Oh, right.
and industrial, and of course recreational mixed in with it as well.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big industry. There's no question about that, and only getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I think so, mate. I think. Yeah. I saw a bra made out of bamboo the other day. I thought,
Okay, that was on your girlfriend, I trust.
No, actually, it was an advert. I learn a language every day. I do a little bit of language practice, and the way that the app is free is by popping up adverts every now and again. And there's this can't remember what it was called, but you've got to watch the adverts to get some extra lives, because you kind of lose lives when you get stuff wrong. So you got to watch the adverts, and there was an advert for a bra in it, and I noticed in it said bamboo, and I was like, this stuff just gets everywhere.
Yeah, mate. There's not
like
much
sand.
There's not much you can't do with bamboo. That's a fact.
Yeah.
So what's the language, mate? Is it French, German, or bad?
Well, do you know, actually, I Spanish is my main one. I've kind of focused on 3, but Spanish is my main one. But a bit of Latin and a little bit of Chinese as well. I figured better see if I can get into a little bit of Chinese.
To choose from.
Man, I tell you what. Oh well, but Mandarin it is, but it's tough, man. I mean, and it's not because it's not only because the words are tough. It's mainly because of the writing. With the other stuff, when you see it written down, it starts to make sense. But you can't see this stuff written down because it's all squibbles and dot. Yeah, it's like it's kind of like looking at a submarine chart or something. It's really difficult to kind of remember. I find it really difficult to remember because of how it's written down and how it's documented. But it's I know it's a useful language, so I know I'm going in very light. I can barely count to 10, to be honest. And I've been doing it for about 6 months. So, but Spanish I love, and I think Latin's a good language to kind of give you a bit of a grounding as well on some of the other ones, and it kind of helps out with the Spanish a little bit. So yeah, tiny bit of Latin, but mainly Spanish.
Cool. Okay, a couple of more in the chat box for you. Chandru's saying you're up for 100 pips today, based on yesterday's strong moves. And Lewis, g'day Lewis, not Gary type of Chinese, huh? Not Gary type of
no,
Chinese.
Gary's Cantonese. Gary's is Cantonese.
Oh, Gary the Spruker.
Yes.
Right.
As for the 100 pip move, yeah, I guess they're probably I think so. I think it probably would be about 100 pips from yesterday, yes. Maybe more. I don't know, but it's a tentative. It's a very difficult one. But yeah, it has popped up from where I was talking about yesterday. But yeah. So, but no, not Gary's Chinese. I mean, to be honest, if that's more of a comment on how bad Gary's Chinese is, then mine is worse by quite a bit. So I take Gary's. Yeah, I take Gary's attempts quite happily.
Lewis is back at you. He keeps saying it's Chinese, but it's not Chinese, I'm gathering. It's Garyese.
Garyese, yeah. Yeah,
we'll call it
probably
geese,
is.
Shall we?
Yeah, call it geese. So it might be Ashies, I guess. But as I say, I get to number 3 and then I forget what the next number is. So, do you know what? I think the other thing is this tone as well. I because you have to speak into the app sometimes, and it picks up the way you're speaking, and then it kind of it's you either pass or you fail on the way you're speaking. But sometimes it doesn't recognize what I'm saying, even though I'm saying the word, but because I get the kind of inflections wrong, then it doesn't pick that up either. So yeah, tough language. I don't know.
And the
I don't know.
penalties looking at bras. Goodness me, what's the world coming?
Yeah, they're not modelled by the kind of people you'd hope they would be modelled by. To be
Oh,
fair,
they're
mate.
not.
No. I mean, it's a nice family app. This is
Family friendly app, right?
very
Okay.
family friendly app. Yeah. So the bamboo bras are I guess for the everyday woman.
Yeah, I sell them, of course. You know that.
Do you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea, mate.
Hell yes.
And you
I'm
should.
into-
Well, maybe this advert's yours then.
No, it's not mine. Definitely not
Oh, is it
mine.
not? Oh,
No, no. Although I'm available.
yeah. I was
If
going to say it should be.
if the dudes want to talk to me, that's all good. Okay, Lewis, you got to go. No problems with the session. Thank you for being here. Look, guess what? I think I've got to go as well. I'm cooking dinner, and I've got really no interest in the market right now, except I guess the two trades that we're in: pound Kiwi, which is out of the money at the moment, and pound US dollar, which is also out of the money at the moment, and just about where we got into the market. I think pretty close. 4 pips out of the money. We'll see how that goes, guys. Ash, I'm done, mate. I'm done for the week. I've got 2 more shows to do tonight, and
Great stuff.
And then it's weekend time.
Awesome, mate. Okay, have a good one. Thanks for listening, guys, and have a good weekend too. See you next Monday, mate.
You betcha, mate. I'll be here. Oh, actually, Sunday for the free
Sunday,
show.
of course. Yep. See you on Sunday.
All right, mate. Have a great weekend. And
You too, buddy.
Everyone else, take it easy. Have a good weekend, and just be a little bit careful around this market. Anything can happen at any time. So,
yeah,
that's my my parting words. Have a good one, everyone. See you next week. Bye bye.
See you guys. Bye bye.
Bye, Chandru. Bye, LT.